When we think about a country's constitution, it's easy to picture some dusty old legal document. But that is not what this is. The 2015 Constitution of Nepal is really a story. It's the story of a nation's journey toward a brand new future. So let's not think of it as just dry legal text. Instead, think of it as a promise, written with the ink of revolution and hope. A promise made directly to the people of Nepal.
Right from the get-go, this one sentence from the preamble, wow, it just sets the entire tone. This isn't just legal jargon, it's a declaration that things are going to be fundamentally different. Every single one of those words, feudalistic, autocratic, carries the heavy weight of real historical struggles. This isn't just some flowery language, it's the core mission statement right there on page 1.
So it makes sense to start right where the Constitution itself begins, with the preamble. This is the why behind the entire document. It's the grand vision, the mission statement that lays out what this new era for the nation is all about.
When you look at these core promises, it's basically a checklist for building a modern, just society, isn't it? We're talking about ending old oppressive systems, guaranteeing rights for everyone, building a truly inclusive society, and making sure there's justice and peace. Each one of these points is designed to fix a problem from the past and lay down a solid foundation for the future. This isn't just a dream, it's a stated goal.
And to make sure those promises actually have some teeth, Article 1 comes in and says loud and clear that this Constitution is the supreme law of the land. What that means is that no other law, no rule, no regulation can possibly contradict what's written in here. It is the ultimate rulebook, and the Constitution says it's the duty of every single person to uphold it.
Okay, so before you can start guaranteeing rights to the people, you've got to do something really important first. You have to define the nation itself. And that's exactly what this next part does. It outlines the fundamental identity of Nepal, and, by extension, its citizens. You can almost think of this as the official character sheet for modern Nepal. Every one of these terms you see here from Article 4 was a very deliberate choice. Federal, that's a direct response to the old centralized system. Democratic Republic, that confirms the end of the monarchy. And socialism-oriented, well, that signals a real commitment to social justice and chipping away at economic inequality. And what's really fascinating here is that the Constitution actually defines its own specific version of secularism. It's not about an absence of religion, which is what some people might think. No, it's actually about the protection of all the traditional religions and cultures, while at the same time guaranteeing individual religious freedom. It's this very unique balance between preservation and liberty. Now this right here is one of the most powerful statements in the entire document. Article 2 makes it crystal clear. The ultimate power, the final authority, belongs to the people of Nepal. The government, the laws, the state itself, they're all just instruments for the people to exercise that power. It's a huge deal.
So now we get to the part that directly answers that big question. Okay, but what does this all mean for me? This next section is the real heart of the Constitution's promise. We're talking about the fundamental rights guaranteed to every single citizen.
The Constitution dedicates a massive section, Part 3, to a list of 31, that's right, 31 distinct fundamental rights. This is an incredibly extensive and comprehensive list, and it covers everything from the most basic right to life all the way to very specific social and economic rights. And, as we'll see, it also pairs these rights with a few core duties.
And just look at the sheer breadth of these guarantees. We're talking about things like the right to education, the right to justice, and a really powerful right against discrimination. It goes so far beyond the classic civil liberties to include specific legally enforceable protections for women, Dalits, and other groups that have been historically marginalized. These are rights designed to actively protect and empower.
And this really illustrates the balance at the heart of the Constitution. You could call it a civic bargain. In return for that incredible list of guaranteed rights, every citizen has some fundamental duties. Things like safeguarding the nation, following the law, and serving the state when required. It's a two-way street.
All right, so we've seen the why in the preamble and the what in all those fundamental rights. This last section is all about the how, the actual blueprint for the government structure that's designed to deliver on all these big promises.
So to finally put an end to that old centralized system, Article 56 creates a three-tiered federal structure. You've got the national or federal government at the top, then you have provincial governments for each province, and finally, the local governments, like cities and villages. The whole idea is to bring governance closer to the people.
This chart gives you a really clear snapshot of how those responsibilities are divided up. The federal government handles the big national issues. Think defense and foreign policy. Provincial governments manage regional services, like public health. And then the local governments take care of the immediate community needs, like schools and sanitation. Of course, there are also shared powers to make sure they all work together.
So when you put it all together, from the big aspirational goals in the preamble to the personal guarantees of fundamental rights, and then the practical blueprint for a federal state, you can see that this Constitution really is a framework for progress. It's not meant to be some static text set in stone. It's designed to be a living document that guides the nation forward.
Which, of course, brings us to our final thought. A constitution on paper, no matter how good it is still just a promise. The real work, the hard work, is in making it a reality. That requires active citizens who know their rights and their duties, and a state that is truly committed to upholding its end of the bargain. So the big question for everyone is, how do we work together to transform this powerful text into a living, breathing reality?